and and it was all in mind to get a very strong pope, a man who could not be moved if he didn't want to be moved. That makes sense. Yeah. And that's where we're going. And he was the one that negotiated a lot of those things. And and Sarah slipped this in there. It was almost, if you would almost believe God had his hand on this, because he was trained to be ready for perhaps the biggest, worst assault on the Catholic Church ever was. And it was coming from both the communists and from the Nazis and Charles Reich, the French. It was
the Allies.
Yeah. Yes, they were at Germany, France. They were all after England.
The poop. Yep.
And so this strong pope was extremely, extremely important to who eventually becomes Pius XII.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, okay, that's kind of the issue here is like, I knew my problem with kind of leading off on all of this was exactly what you're talking about right now, where it's like, I can tell you a lot about this pope, and I think that there's like a lot of good conversation to have about them, but I don't know like details specific this, and this as far as history goes. Now, like whenever it gets into, for instance, like World War I know that it was, I think it was one of the Piuses that I know that one of the Piuses came right before him. And because that's why he chose the name, is that he wanted to make sure that everyone knew he was in solidarity and wasn't trying to change things up. But it was Benedict, that's what it was. He was there in World War I. And I guess and
but Pius, whatever his name was, PA. What was his name? His first name?
Who?
Pius.
Which one?
The one we're here to talk about.
Oh, Eugene.
He actually negotiated was a big player in the negotiation at even a young age of the Serbian Concordat, and it made the others, Austria especially, thought that the church was siding with Serbia, and he saw that he might have made a mistake, and that affected his thinking when it got to World War II. I don't want to make another Serbia mistake.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and like that was the big part of all of this. Like whenever I was getting into his history, like I know as a kid, like for instance, he got special privilege to be able to study from home, which is not normal. Yeah. But no, yeah, he was able to like live there and go to seminary still and everything. And so it seemed like from a very young age, the Vatican had their eye on this kid because you had to like request it from the Vatican. And it wasn't like in a bad way. Like there are some people they have an eye on that it's just like, who is it to be called like a Casanova? Is that the thing? Like where you're like a ladies' man or whatever. Yeah. He was discerning the priesthood, and the Vatican, like I guess like the higher ups had their eye on him, but it wasn't in a good way.